Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day or night. I just wanted to talk about the Nabta Playa Valley in a civilization time around 7,000 years ago. You see, they say it's around 6,000, 5,000 BC, and in this time, an astronomical structure was built thousands of years before the Stonehenge. And this is interesting because they don't talk about this a lot and they don't bring this up often in mainstream news or media. And so the reason why it's important is because it's not just a structure. I call it a big sundial for the ground. That'd be interesting if it was a big clock. But anyways, I say it's interesting because that means they were already mapping stars and doing stuff dealing with astrology in 7000 BC. Now, that's really important because then it means that they had lenses and that they were able to make scopes and telescopes and scopes for viewing stars and galaxies and different things and astronomical events in the sky using technology for their time. So I just wanted to read a little bit of this article as so you guys can follow along if you like. For thousands of years, ancient societies all around the world erected massive stone circles, aligning them with the sun and stars to mark the seasons. These early calendars foretold the coming of spring, summer, fall, and winter, helping civilizations track when to plant and harvest crops. So not only did they have the seasons mapped, they basically had agriculture and farming mapped out with this as well. And so you're looking at an institution where not only do they need to have science and agriculture, they have mathematics as well. How do you count the number of days and months and all this other stuff? These people were endowed with civilization and technology and stuff like that. I'm not saying like the way we have it now, but at the same time, I am saying these people already had mathematics and all this stuff, and different civilizations came in and started attacking Africa over and over and over again. So they served as ceremonial sites for both celebration and sacrifice. The megaliths, large prehistoric monuments made of stone, may seem mysterious in our modern era, when many people lack a connection with or even view of the stars. Some even told some even hold them up as supernatural or divine by aliens. But many ancient does the History Channel not? But many ancient societies kept time by tracking which constellations rose at sunset. Also, which is interesting, if you make a time lapse of the sun going up and down in a particular spot and record it, and or set up a camera or something, it'll be in a different location each time, and that has to do with the tilt and stuff like that. But many ancient societies kept time by tracking which constellation rose at sunset, like reading a giant celestial clock, and others pinpointed the sun's location in the sky on the summer and winter solstice, on the longest and shortest days of the year, or the spring and fall of the equinox. So when I say the serpent is trying to choke everybody's breath of life, go research this. They're talking about 1%. No. All humans, European, Asian, Hispanic, I don't care what you are, indigenous, have at least 5% African in you. Everybody can call the ancestors, and anybody can call upon the name, and don't be terrified by religion. And when I say the name, I'm talking about I am. We're all gods, so to speak, or I ams, or free, whatever you want to call it. Europe holds some 35,000 megaliths, including many astronomically aligned stone circles, as well as tombs and other standing stones. These structures were mostly built between 6,500 and 4,500 years ago, largely along the Atlantic and Mediterranean coasts. The most famous of these sites is the Stonehenge, a monument in England that's thought to be about 5,000 years old. Though still old at that age, Stonehenge may have been one of the youngest. So one of their oldest is 5,000, and they're saying it's the youngest. One of the ones in Africa is 7,000, much longer, and seen as an astrological tool and or site, and that might be the youngest. And that might be the oldest. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't. They're trying to play with different cultures and say one civilization was weak while another may have been strong while having the data where it truly came from. The chronology and extreme similarities between these widespread European sites lead some researchers to think that the regional tradition of constructing megaliths first emerged along the coast of France. Like, come on, man. So it skipped all this area where they migrated what I thought they said the Mediterranean and all that. Now it's France. I'm telling you what they're doing with information. It was then passed across the region and eventually reaching Great Britain. But even these primitive sites are at least centuries younger than the world's oldest known circle, the Nabta Playa. And you should do research on the civilization with the Nubians and it's before the Kemet and the Hamitic culture and all that. Is ancient culture. You're talking like these people were civilized and had culture and civilizations around 10,000 BC. So a lot of people don't want people to know that. A lot of people in Europe talking about stone paintings from that are like 7,000 years old. These people already had civilization. The Nabta Playa is 700 miles south of the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. It was built more than 7,000 years ago, according to their own words, making the Nabta Playa the oldest stone circle in the world and an astrological site, and possibly the Earth's oldest astronomical observatory. So anybody that knows about observatories first came from Africa first, the information. It was constructed by a cattle worshipping cult of the nomadic people to mark the summer solstice and the arrival of the monsoons. So you see what I'm saying? When they talk about the Greeks and all this, they actually had all these gods and practices and dancing in the street naked and doing all kind of stuff. And they're seen as the forefronts and the smart ones. These people were coming up with science and technology and they're calling it cults. Every time, the cults of a moon, the cults of this, the cults of those witch doctors in Africa. I'm telling you, they're playing with information. Here is human beings' first attempt to make some serious connection with the heavens, says J. McKim Malville, a professor of some university. This was the dawn of observational astronomy. He adds, what in the world did they think about it? Did they imagine these stars were gods? They still do to this day. And look, the statue of Ramses was moved to somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's funny to me. So, you know what I mean? And and they first found out about a lot of this in the 60s, but you don't hear about it. So I'm going to show you further. Now look at this. I'm going to show you they had optical technology and stuff like that. But then you look at this, you see a Stonehenge, right? The Stonehenge. In this chapter, we shall examine the evidence of the area of the ancient optical technology. This evidence indicates that fairly sophisticated optical technology was being used soon after the flood ended. Although the evidence has been available in museums and other places for many years up to recently, it has been largely ignored because of the mindset of that ancient people were primitive. However, what we are now learning through continued research is that ancient technology was not primitive at all. They knew about brain surgeries, bro. It was already mature when it first appeared, as we discussed in other stuff. And successful navigation requires that one be able to accurately determine one's location on the globe. Sailors, navies. It is known, for example, that the Vikings were navigated to America. So I'm not finna even get in all that. Look, ancient Africans had ships and stuff 6,000 years ago, were among the earliest shipbuilders. The oldest pictures of boats have been found that are Egyptian vases and graves. At least 6,000 years old. The picture of it is. So if I'm sailing, that means I was sailing long before a picture was created. Does that make sense to y'all? They didn't make pictures of airplanes before airplanes. That wouldn't have logically made sense. So then you go even further. I'm going to show you guys something even funnier. They really don't want y'all to know. Modern rafts of vegetation can be very large, some of them with upright trees still holding fruit. Many primates and rodents along prehistoric Africa's coast lived in places where rafts were capable of carrying them may have been made during surging storms. There is information from their own history channels and from archaeologists saying apes were traveling landmasses in prehistoric times, and they have evidence of this. You can watch modern apes doing this now on YouTube. I am telling you guys, humans are smart. All of us, we are all connected to the same source. But they choke our source with fake religion. I just heard another rabbi talking. I actually like this rabbi a little bit, but he was talking about, oh, the pharaohs and the Egyptians, and look, they bowed to their gods and Hashem and all this other stuff. It's like, dude, okay. So then I listened to an African American speaking. Oh, you got to be terrified, Israel. Be aware. They can do anything to us, and the slave masters is gonna come get us. And there's a war going on, and they can take us out in politics and left and blue and be scared. But this Jewish man from Israel is talking crazy, and he has the confidence to do so. Talking about, we can do this for God, and we don't have to follow this and that. And God is like romance, and we can do whatever we want. God, don't know what he's talking about. But I like him. He does have a good, because he's taken away from fear. That's cool. But at the same time, he's perpetuating a lie. So then he brought up the Ten Commandments and said, do anybody know the Ten Commandments? How can anybody have a relationship with God with the Ten Commandments when everybody covers I am and don't tell the truth? I am the word. I am the bread of life. I am that which is, which means it's in all of us. So I'm trying to tell you all, they are trying to cut off the forefathers, the ancestors who brought civilization, and then giving reverence to Barnabas, the barbarians. Would that article just say the Vikings? That doesn't make literal sense. Let me watch this. Have apes build rafts. Hold on. What were Vikings kings doing in Eden in 10,000 BC? That was a very specific search, so I have to narrow it down. Denmark, Norway, that's what I meant to say. So if you look up what they were doing, like from their own perspective, because even if you don't go to the ancient times, look up the Middle Ages and how people were living in Europe in the medieval times. Barely having enough beef and potatoes to make stews and mush, and eating nothing but bread, with disease running rampant everywhere. The Egyptians and the Africans had domesticated cats and lions, bro. They keep saying the Europeans domesticated wolves. Okay. But who learned how to domesticate animals? And then what makes that even funnier about domesticating wolves, dogs were domesticated long before Europe. If you don't believe me, like, I can't make this stuff up, bro. When you actually find the information, the first humans in Denmark, by the end of the last ice age in 10,000 BC, and fishermen who entered the country migrating from southern and eastern Europe. So, if they're first going into the lands in 10,000 BC, how are they inventing sailing and all this? And if that's true, they learn how to fish and all this other stuff from Africa. Trying to tell people. They keep talking about Europeans were going there in 35,000 years ago in Europe. Okay, so if that's the truth, then that means the Romans and the Greeks were here doing stuff, and they were of dark skin and continued to go up further north in Europe and then created Vikings and barbarians. This is their information. It's not a lie. Farmers first using stone weapons in 3000 BC. Are you kidding? So watch this. Because this is why I say, like, life is really interesting. What weapons were Africans using in 10,000 BC? Look at these weapons, bro. Like, look at the advancement of these freaking weapons, bro. This is European information. I'm not lying. They already had arrows and stones and all that, building pyramids. I don't have to lie to people. So look, it'll go back to Carthage, but you go down here to the 12,000 BC in the Sudan. This is where you find real information when you look for it, because they're not going to plaster this on the news. They're not going to plaster this all over the media, because then the supremacists, the Nazis, look, this is why I say nobody's original, and why they'll take stuff from people of color and then say, what is the Chickamauga battle flag? Look what this flag looks like. What does that flag look like to y'all? This is their European information. Then I'm going to show you something. Where did the swastika originally come from? The original one. 6,000 years ago, and rocks and cave paintings that it originated from India. And the Indians, the Brahma, Abraham came into Egypt. I'm trying to tell you guys. So they try, I don't even. And then, who is Ben Yehuda? A Russian Jewish linguist. The Hebrew dictionary, right? Who translated Hebrew into, who translated Hebrew in the 1800s? Eliza Ben Yehuda's everywheres. Like, I don't have to, but then watch this. Did William Tyndale, now this is where I'm trying to give the Germans and the English their real due. You guys are talking about a Christ in white skin. This is your, don't tell them too much. This is the Caucasian Christ. This man right here. You guys keep looking for the white one. Here he is. Not Martin Luther, not King James, not Ben Yehuda, all of them. This is the Caucasian Christ, and people do not want y'all to know that. The African-American one was Martin Luther King, and they slew him. The William Tyndale was the Caucasian one, and they slew him. Now I am here with Polish and African-American blood, like a duo. And people who are racist don't want me to come forth. The Messiah is having birth pains, and I'm trying to tell people, and they're ignoring me. And what makes it the most irritating, the people who are talking about birth pains are the ones up here tearing me apart. This was the English one. He was killed. Martin Luther King Jr. was the African American one. Muhammad was the Semitic one. The word in flesh, I will be who I will be. Ashura Yashura. It's saying the Spirit chooses who he wills in the generation. How do you think anybody was able to translate this? Anything, because this man translate Hebrew to English. This man was a fucking god. He translated English, Greek, Hebrew, all that. King James Bible, we're following the prophecies from the prophets. This dude. The truth. Listen to what he spoke. He spoke a prophecy. I will raise a boy that knows the plow more than the Pope. Here I am. Martin Luther King Jr. I will have a dream where we all come together and be the truth in the one. Here I am. Singularity. We're all diverse, but come together. Muhammad, don't worship no other gods. Jesus is a pagan. Here I am, but they're all ignoring me. He's the one that put Jehovah, the first English translation to use Jehovah. Here's y'all's Christ, and y'all ignore him over and over and over again. He didn't do Jesus or none of that. The Germans did. What does Jesuits mean? They said Jesuits. This is I am in French. But then the Germans got mad and started playing with words. So, I'm trying to give you all information. The Semitic people are kind of right with Muhammad, but they're fucking off with the violence. The English people are totally off balance and don't know the source or the code because the Romans and Greeks enslaved them, and then the Jutes enslaved them, Anglo-Saxons. The African Americans tried to send somebody forth, and what happened? The Nazis attacked them. So, the man who harmed this man, William Tyndale, was the Pope. The ones who harmed Martin Luther King Jr. was the Nazis. So, there's my tad bit of information for you all. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to connect you all with your ancestors. I'm not saying you all have to worship William Tyndale. I'm saying this was you all's Christ to the Caucasian people. But we're all under one. I'm telling you, the Spirit will choose who it will. You read some of this dude's prophecies and writings against the Pope. He was the truth. When you research Muhammad for real, in a cave, the 10 Commandments was the cave, the rock. And then he spoke to Gabriel. Gabriel was symbolic for Moses, the word. Don't worship any other gods. That's saying follow the I am. Jesus said, don't cling to me in their book. Even in their book, the King James Version. It says, don't cling to me. I give you the name, so call the source. So, trying to help you out to the best of my ability. They tried to tear me apart, but I am who I am, and I am that which is. So I am nature in the first place. NTR, something that comes from Egypt, Africa. That's why they're trying to destroy your forefathers.
You say that I'm psychotic, but then you like it like that. It's like every time the conversation changes and I want you right back.